We can hear your background noise.
Mike's so hot. Go live.
Thank you, Lori.
This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. This is the March 27, 2024 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This meeting is being operated as a hybrid format under Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by dialing on their telephone 408-650-3123 and then using access code 942-845-549. Or you can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. Materials for tonight's meeting have been posted on the town's website, and anyone who is watching this meeting remotely is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the Conservation Commission, and before we start, let me do a roll call to determine who is here. So when I call your name, please answer in the affirmative. Tom Fallon.
Here.
Michelle Colross.
Here.
Megan Langley.
Here.
Chris Carey.
Here.
Jesse Averka.
Here.
Okay. Please also note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television, and I see that we have a number of individuals online. So when the matter that you are interested in comes up, please identify yourself and give us your name and your address. So having said that, the first item on our agenda is 7 p.m. public hearing, Crocker Design Group at Osiph Temple property at 735 Southbridge Street. Now, I've been advised by Mr. Averka that the applicant has requested a continuance. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
That is.
So having said that, do you know if we have anything else on our agenda for April 10th?
No, that will be the 7 p.m.
All right.
Yes.
So may I have a motion to continue the Crocker Design Group notice of intent hearing to April 10 at 7 p.m.?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. All right. Okay, so that took all of 2 minutes. Our next public hearing is at 7:05.
I'll stand this over. It's fine, I'm just going to read this.
Okay. So before we start our next public hearing, I'm gonna go down to other business. 7 Maria Avenue. So Mr. Averka has provided us with photographs. Apparently, it's a site that is being cleared for development. I'm advised that there are maybe wetlands to the rear of the property, and I think the question is whether or not whoever owns 7 Maria Avenue should be filing at a minimum a request for determination of applicability. So based on the photographs and Mr. Averka's representations, may I have a motion, please? So let me be clear again.
Yeah.
They are clearing land. If you look, they put in siltation fences. It appears they've cut a number of trees. There are wetlands at the back of the property. There's a question whether or not that work is within 100 feet of the proposed construction. And so for that reason, we believe, or I think Mr. Averka believes, that a request for determination of applicability should be filed.
So we're just asking to do
A
a
letter?
letter? Okay, that's it, okay. I move that we send a letter to 7 Maria Ave, notifying them that they need to file an RDA
Okay,
to the board.
perfect.
I'll second that.
All right, is there any discussion?
My only question would be if we think it's like a situation where we need to do an
I was
enforcement
just gonna say.
order also, or,
Well, I mean, based on the photographs, I don't see actual encroachment in the wetland. So I think we give them the option to file the RDA first, and then if they don't file, then we can issue an enforcement order.
Okay, then in the letter, should we be putting that you need to do that within the next week for our April 10th meeting? Are they gonna be able to get that in for the April 10th?
I have no idea if they'll be able to get it in time. I mean, the letter can go out tomorrow. April 10th would be approximately 2 weeks from now.
I think, if anything, it would be more appropriate to say that we'd like to see a filing by April 10th.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
And then we can, in
I mean,
terms
the
of the
silt fence look
scheduling.
like they're in good,
They do. I agree. That's why I think they've paid some attention to avoiding erosion issues. So there's there's a motion and there was a second by Tom. Are there any other questions? There being none, is there, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. We can issue a letter to them tomorrow. I can draft that.
thank you.
All right. The next item on our agenda is the 7:05 public hearing. Brian McAvoy, notice of intent for property at 400 Southbridge Street. Is there a motion to open? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. All right. Who's here on behalf of 400 Southbridge Street?
Good evening, Scott Jordan from Nico Tech,
Good evening.
and we have John Flicker from McCarty Engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So, just a quick refresher, this is the bank across from the mall, 400 Southbridge Street, Webster Firestone Bank. We're going to tear the bank down and build a smaller bank. It's in the riverfront area, the Dark Brook's across the street at the mall. The project is designed to meet the riverfront area redevelopment performance standards, and we were waiting for a DEP file number. We finally got one. There were some minor comments on it which were addressed. We provided to Jesse, and that's where we stand.
Okay.
Yeah, there should be a copy of their
Right.
response to the comments.
Yeah.
I see it.
They requested snow storage area, that's been provided. Native plantings in the front of the riverfront area, we have native trees now. And some stormwater, just clarification on the improvements to the old stormwater system. We have improved the deep sumps, et cetera, and a storm scepter.
And have the comments from McCarty Engineering been incorporated into the plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Jesse, do you want
Yeah.
full-size set?
Oh, if you have one,
Of
yeah.
that
for the-
latest plan? I do, I have one.
I have the grading plan on the back, that's the biggest one.
I have the full set.
Yeah, if that would be, if it's not
I'll give you
too
one.
much trouble for you guys.
Okay.
As long as it's about snow.
I have no questions. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. In that case, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. So with any luck, we will issue our decision this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
2 minutes.
question about the 710. So I am, oh wait, no, not the 710, sorry. Never mind.
Okay.
No, wait, is it the 710? Yes, it is the 710.
We haven't started yet.
I'm in a butter on that.
Okay, then you
So-
should recuse yourself.
Does that mean I have to leave or I just can't vote?
I think you're better off if you leave, to be honest.
What if I want to know what's going on?
Yeah, I was gonna
Can I
say.
just sit there?
You can sit in the audience, that's fine.
All right.
Of course you have a right to know. Okay. Speaking of which, the next item on our agenda is a 710 public hearing. New England Power Company for property located at E5-F6 transmission lines right away to conduct exploratory soil borings for planning and design purposes. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed is a vote. Is anyone here on behalf of New England Power Company for this application?
Hi, Michael. My name is Carolyn Gorse. I'm with BSC Group, and I am here on behalf of the New England Power Company to talk about this project.
Hello, Carolyn. Thank you for joining us. So tell us what you want
would
to
it
do.
be- First, would it be possible for me to share my screen so I can share the project plans with everyone as I'm talking?
Yeah, I can go ahead and make you a, let's see, make present to you.
Got it. Let's see. I've just pulled up the locus map, and I'll go through as I'm talking.
Okay.
Okay, so hello everyone again. Again, my name is Carolyn Gorse. I'm a professional wetland scientist with BSC Group, and on behalf of the New England Power Company for activities associated with exploratory geotechnical soil borings along the E5-F6 transmission line right-of-way. We submitted a notice of intent for this work on March 6th, and we were issued a DEP file number today. Hooray! That DEP file number is CE 098-0869. And we do not have any technical comments to review from DEP. So I'm planning to begin by reviewing the purpose and the scope of work, the resource areas they overlap with, and then I hope to address the conformance with the performance standards under the Wetlands Protection Act, as well as the Auburn wetland regulations.
Please do.
So as you can see on this locus map, we're dealing with 9 soil borings at the following structures. The first is boring number 65 and associated access and work envelope improvements off of Leicester Street. Next is the boring at structure 59, also accessed off of Leicester Street. That soil boring also has some access road improvements. We've got a soil boring off of structure 55 off of Bryn Mawr Avenue, if I'm pronouncing that right.
You are.
And then we have, what was it?
That was correct.
Bryn Mawr?
Yeah, well done.
All right. And we got 5 soil borings outside the Pondville substation off of Mill Street, including the removal of 1 declining arborvitae tree. And the final soil boring is at structure 34 off of Washington Street. All of these soil borings and access will be located within an existing managed right-of-way and along historically used access routes. Activities will be located within bordering vegetated wetlands, the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW. We have some permanent project impacts associated with the improvements of access roads required to access 2 soil boring locations at B59 and B65, and then temporary project impacts associated with the soil borings themselves, and the use of construction matting within BVW for access. Vegetation management within the right-of-way includes that 1 tree removal I mentioned at the Pondville substation, the arborvitae, also required for access. And then the overall purpose of these soil borings is to evaluate the subsurface conditions for future foundation designs along this right-of-way. The E5-F6 right-of-way itself is over 100 years old. So New England Power Company is anticipating utility structure maintenance in the next few years. I'm not exactly sure how far out they are, but these geotechnical borings will give them the data they need to understand what the subsurface looks like so they can design the proper foundations for future replacements to these structures. These borings are done with a small drill rig, which bores a hole of approximately 4 to 6 inches in diameter, which is then backfilled usually the same day. This work typically is completed within 1 to 2 days. As for the access road improvements that I mentioned, we've got some photos that we included with this report. So these specific areas were identified after field reviews with engineers and planners who know about the soil boring process and what the contractor needs are. And they identified these specific locations as requiring additional maintenance, as you can see, to support the safe passage of a soil boring equipment. These areas are really rocky. And so in order to get the drill rig out there, the contractor is going to need to remove some of these rocks, add a little bit of gravel down, basically make it flat enough for the safe passage of that drill rig and any other equipment that needs to get back there. See, the minor grading, removing boulders. So we wrote down that the permanent impacts associated with these access road improvements were for access to be widened potentially to 12 feet. But the boring rig itself is only about 6 feet wide. So the 12-foot widening is a conservative estimate for the maximum extent of grading that the contractor might need to get the rig safely to those boring locations. But during construction itself, those access improvements will be limited to just what they need to safely conduct those soil borings. So the square footage of grading and permanent impacts to these specific locations are a conservative estimate, but we wanted to give the contractor a little bit of wiggle room if they did need to widen it in some locations. So in our notice of intent for B65, I'll go up to the map. This soil boring at B65, we estimated approximately 4,200 square feet of grading within riverfront area associated with Chapin Brook. 3,100 square feet of which is located within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW and Inland Bank along the access road and work envelope for this soil boring. And then for B59, this is accessed from, if we're going further west along the right-of-way, and then south by these 2 water tanks. Access is here off of Leicester Street. I'm going to go back to map. So we follow the access road up past the water tanks into the right-of-way and then move west to the location of the boring itself. We estimated approximately 3,300 square feet of grading in this location within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW along the access road and the work envelope. Again, those are the conservative estimates. So work in these areas is largely unavoidable due to the current configuration of the electrical utility infrastructure and the need to create, again, that level, stable area to perform the proposed borings, and then access for those borings and future maintenance. Moving on to conformance with the Wetlands Protection Act, we outlined that in Section 4 of our narrative and in Section 5 of the narrative is where we discussed the Auburn Wetlands Bylaw. So the project itself meets the criteria to be considered a limited project, as outlined in 310 CMR 10.53 3D, which allows for the construction, reconstruction, operation, and maintenance of overhead public utilities. Even so, we have designed this project to meet all applicable performance standards within the riverfront area, specifically regarding B56. But given the location of the work within the managed right-of-way, there are no practicable and or substantially equivalent economic alternatives to this project. Again, with the aging infrastructure, these structures are going to be need to be replaced in the future, and these geotechnical borings are needed to understand how those structures can be replaced in the future. So we need this data. It's within this managed right-of-way. So the right-of-way itself is regularly cleared and maintained in accordance with the approved vegetation maintenance plan and local, state, and federal laws and regulations. again, with the aging infrastructure, the structures themselves predate the bylaws, and all of these soil borings are necessary for not just for the future maintenance of the line itself. That's, again, referencing the grading within the riverfront area and buffer zones.
Do
So
you
the
have,
4,000,
I'm sorry, do you have any information on the age of some of these structures that will eventually need to be replaced?
on the age of them themselves, I'm not sure when these structures were, like each structure, I'm not sure what the exact age of them are.
Okay.
I believe
let
it's
me ask
around 100 years, though.
you- I'm sorry, around how long ago?
Around 100 years.
All right.
We're nearing that.
And how often are they inspected for safety?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I don't know the rate at which they inspect them.
Do you know if they have been
safety.
recently inspected?
They have been recently inspected as part of the exploratory, they have been recently in relation to this geotechnical boring project. They've gone out with engineers and taken a look at them.
Okay,
So within the last year.
all right.
And delineations were done last year as well.
Ms. Gross, do you have anything else to further offer us, or is that the conclusion of your presentation?
I can go into BMPs. I can briefly mention the bylaw itself.
I'm not sure that's necessary, really.
Okay. If you guys have any questions specifically, I'm happy to jump into that now.
Okay.
And we
so-
can elaborate on anything else you'd like to elaborate on.
All right, thank you. Michelle?
I was wondering why machinery needs to be used in order to get those samples. Like, couldn't like a handheld auger get those samples? If it's only 4 to 6 inches round, why are you using like machinery in order to collect them?
Because I believe they go much deeper than what hand
So
tools
it's 4
can
to 6
go. I'm
inches
not sure the
round,
exact depth.
But oh, you don't know how deep they're going?
No, I don't. I can get that information for you, though.
Okay.
So it's some sort of mechanical auger is going to be used to drill these or obtain these borings, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it sounds like a lot of the work is actually improving the site conditions so that you can actually get equipment to these areas to take those borings, is that right?
Yes, in 2 of these locations, that access, as I showed in the pictures,
Right.
very rocky, and they wouldn't be able to drive over that normally. They have to remove those boulders. But in a lot of the other spots along the right-of-way, it looks like this, and no grading is necessary to use the existing access roads.
And that padding that you're saying, if those are those reused, like, they're like they look like tire tracks, is that what you meant by the padding that you're gonna put down in order to slash it?
Wetland matting itself, let me see if I've got any pictures of in the BMP section,
you
but
had
it
sent
looks
it.
like timber matting.
Yeah,
So
timber matting. Okay. And about how long does that stay down for, do you think?
it looks like that. So that stays down for, if in each of these locations, maybe a week, because as I mentioned, the borings themselves only take a day or 2 to complete.
Okay.
So they would go in and install these maybe a week or 2 beforehand. It's up to the availability of the contractors. We have separate contractors who place the timber matting, and the contractors who come in and do the soil borings are different. So it could be a week, it could be a few days, it could be a few weeks. It's kind of up to the contractors' availability.
That site with all the rocks, what's gonna happen with all of those rocks? Are they gonna be removed from the site and brought someplace else, or you're just gonna store them on the site?
I believe they would be removed and disposed of someplace else, unless you would like them to stay on the site.
Okay.
Now, excuse me, ma'am, if you'll have a moment or have an opportunity to speak, it's just that there's crosstalk here and I'm having difficulty hearing the presenter here. The matting that's going to be used to enable access for the borings, is that removed after the borings are taken, or is it going to stay?
Absolutely. No, it'll be removed.
Okay, all right. And if you had to give an estimate from, say, the beginning of the work to the conclusion of the work, how much time are we talking about?
oh, a conservative estimate, maybe 2 months tops, but I think they can get in and out of each of these locations pretty fast, again, within a day or two, and there's 9 locations. A lot of this work is at the substation. That's a little easier to access all 5 of these particular borings.
And will the sequence be one site at a time, or will there be more than one contractor doing the work?
There will be more than one contractor doing the work, so the matting will be placed and the erosion controls and any BMPs will be placed first, and then they'll go in with the boring and the drilling rig. Probably they'll hit all the structures sequentially, and then when they're done, the matting contractor will come back and remove all the mats.
And none of the boring machinery is going to be left at the site overnight, right? That's going to be
Correct.
taken away each night? Okay.
Yes.
And when do you propose to start work?
As soon as possible, but I believe they would like to start this work this summer.
Okay. All right, so not next week, but perhaps in the next 2 months or so?
No, correct. This line, there's borings kind of spread out through the different towns that this E5F6 line runs through. Just before this, I was in the Spencer Conservation Commission hearing talking about the same thing. So
Okay.
once we have approval from all of the towns, we can start the process of scheduling that with the contractors.
I see. All right, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Are there any questions from the audience? And if there are, can you please state your name and your address, please?
Robert Cody, 44 Briarcliff Drive in Auburn. And where she's accessing from Leicester Street, and they're coming down, that's all soft. The National Grid truck just got stuck up there probably a couple weeks ago. They were stuck, and I mean, you got ruts like up to here. And they do have kids that come down off of that, and they play in the back there. And then the question I had is, what side are they gonna be going on the power lines? So if you're coming down, you have the water tanks up here, and you have the line coming down. What side is that gonna be, on the left side of it or the right side of it?
So Ms. Goss, did you hear the question and do you have an answer?
I did hear the question. I want to make sure that I'm looking at the same exact spot. So this first one, because there's 2 places that come off of Leicester Street. Is it this one that I'm showing on the screen right now?
I live by the water tank. Can you show me where the water tank is? Because that's what
Water
I live
tanks.
next to the water tank. So if you
So
have
there's this
that-
one, and right here?
Yep, the water tanks
There's also another one, another
right here.
picture.
Yep, so I was wondering, this is where the power, right, you had one more.
Oh, should I go back?
It's the other image.
Okay, so right here, this is where the power line comes down, right here. So my question is it on, is it gonna be, the power lines are gonna be right here, right down towards where your mouse is now, the hand is. They come down right around there, so I wasn't sure what side they'd be on the power lines, this side or this side. Because most of the rocks are on the left side.
So I'm not sure where the power lines are right here, where my mouse is going back and forth, because this is unfortunately oriented. So north is on the left-hand side of the screen right now, if you see the compass rose down here. So the lines themselves are further north of the water towers. So I'm gonna switch the screen to the water towers again. This is kind of oriented again. Now north is at the top of the screen. And the line itself goes even further northwest. And it looks like in this area, where that yellow line is, they'll be staying on the northern side of that. I'm gonna move the screen to the next one. This is to the west. It looks like they're staying along the northern edge of the right-of-way for the most part, except when they pass structure 58, then it kind of cuts across
Okay, so,
to the southern.
so if you stay right
And
where
then-
the yellow line is,
Yep.
where are the houses in relation to that? Where's Leicester Street? Is it on the bottom, towards the bottom of the
Yep.
screen? Okay, so then.
It's down here.
Okay, so then that's gonna be on the left side, if looking down from the water towers. And then
Yes.
down towards the, there's they're pretty big rocks too, they're not, so I wasn't sure what side you'd go on, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, it looks like we're coming down the southern side of this portion of the right-of-way. You can actually see the rocks in this aerial imagery.
Yeah, because they had a truck that came through already, and they came on the right side, and they just kept coming through, and we had like, they had small bushes, and they just drove over them. That just happened probably last year.
On your property.
Not on my property, no, it's National Grid's property, but
was
it's
in the right of
on,
way.
the bushes were out there, and they're all dead now, but yeah.
Understood.
I just want to make sure I do it sign.
And I think the whole idea, to avoid the trucks having difficulty crossing the land, is the whole idea of putting in these construction mats so that it will
Yeah, it's-
not only enable them to do that, but also prevent maybe deterioration of that area, that land area.
Because down at the bottom, way at the bottom, that's where they have to walk.
Right.
That's where it was.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience?
How does this affect?
Sir, can you
I'm
just
sorry.
identify yourself,
I'm sorry.
name and address?
I'm here with,
I
My
own
wife.
property at 327 Leicester Street.
And your name is?
My name is Linda Grennan,
Okay, Linda.
and he is here to help me.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let
I'm just trying to
him.
understand how this is gonna affect her property at this point.
Okay. So your property is located again where, ma'am?
327 Leicester Street.
Okay.
Now, you're coming down the street, heading to Rochdale. I'm on the left-hand side, right, going to Rochdale.
And how far away are you from the right-of-way for the transmission lines?
She's on Leicester Street.
Okay.
So she would be, she's just listed, her property's listed and all the abutments to her property.
Right.
We're just trying to figure out exactly how this is affecting her property at this point.
Well, my question though is, all the work that's being done by National Grid is within their right-of-way. It's a recorded right-of-way, they have the right to maintain, make improvements, that sort of thing. So it's hard for me to, or maybe Ms. Gorse can answer that question. I'm trying to visualize where her property is in relation to the right-of-way. So it's hard for me to, or I think, certainly I can't answer the question without knowing precisely where the property is in relation to the right-of-way.
Exactly. I'm going to use Google Maps really quick to look up 327 Leicester Street
Technology.
in Auburn. I'm going to look at the aerial view. Okay, I see Rochdale Street. And Leicester Street seems to be quite far away from the right-of-way itself. Oh, okay. I wonder if I can share
Please.
my... All right, so this is Google Maps. I just found 327 Leicester Street. You mentioned south of Rochdale Street. And if we go a little further south, I believe these are the water towers we just spoke of.
Right. So,
So,
I don't know what the scale is of that Google map, but it seems to be quite a distance away.
yes, it does. So I believe there should be no impact to your properties right here.
Yeah. Why did I get a letter?
Because you're considering a butter to the right-of-way, ma'am. That's why.
I believe it's within 300 feet.
Where is this right-of-way? I go down the street, I see people and stuff, and I walked it, but I don't know where this right-of-way comes from. It looks like it comes on the other side of a neighbor's yard.
It could be up in the woods.
Yeah, so
too.
across the street, you see this kind of line cutting through the forest? That's the right-of-way itself.
Well, that's way away from my property then.
Yeah.
Correct. That's
It
what
is.
we're saying. You got noticed because you're technically in a butter to the work they were doing, and so as a matter of law, they had to notify you. And we appreciate you coming out today, but I think based on the image from Google Maps, it appears that your property is located a substantial distance away from the right-of-way. That's sort of number one. Secondly, my understanding is that this project is only for them to gain access to the right-of-way to make soil borings for future work to repair structures that transmit the power. So To answer your question, based on my observations, I don't think this has any impact on your property, ma'am. Okay?
They don't know what, they said I'm gonna
Well,
flood it.
because you're within 300 yards of the right.
I wanna know where that right of way is, I'm gonna go looking for it.
Well,
But
ma'am,
you see it when you can, I can take you.
Good,
Ma'am,
you take me.
if you want to go hiking in the woods, ma'am, I'm sure you can find it.
I got woods all up in back of me.
Well, even farther than that. Yeah, but aside from, is there anyone else in this audience that has any comments? Okay, now, we have a number of people online. So, do any of you have any comments relating to the National Grid or the New England Power Company project that's before us now?
I do.
And you, can you identify your name and also your address, please?
Laurie Fairbanks, 167 Bryn Mawr Ave.
Okay.
So my question is, I abut those power lines with the wetlands, and I'm concerned where they're coming in because National Grid always wants to come through my property. And they have left it a disaster. There's trees that have been marked off for 2 years that they need to cut down. So where are they coming in on that property line?
Oh.
Well, we're going to take a look.
I believe it's 55 section on Bryn Mawr Ave.
So is it this small house, is this house right here, or is it the house across the way?
I abut the power line, so I'm assuming it's the house I'm looking at 167 Bryn Mawr Ave.
167. I'm gonna go back to Google and just.
I'm directly across from the water tanks that you're talking about up on Leicester Street, that they built on Bryn Mawr Ave.
Okay, so 167, that is indeed this house right here. So this is your property, and as you said, it directly abuts. And it looks like your property line comes down into the right-of-way. The edge of the right-of-way itself looks like it's about in line with the edge of your neighbor across the street's driveway. Or at least this light part of the driveway. So they're planning to come in right in line with, I guess, this structure that's right here off of the road.
What structure?
That is structure 55.
So that's the National Grid power line.
That is the National Grid power line.
So they're coming in off of Bryn Mawr Ave, right off of Bryn Mawr. They're not coming into my property, correct?
Correct. They are just staying within the right-of-way, coming in right off of Bryn Mawr Ave. As you can see where the where this checkered pattern is, that's where the matting is proposed to get into this area.
Okay.
So, Ms. Fairbanks, just to answer your concern, they can't enter your property unless you give them permission. If they've done that in the past, they shouldn't have. And I think based on the presentation we're having this evening, it sounds like that they will not be entering your property or going onto your property. If they were to do that, ma'am, what you could do is you could certainly contact our board and we would look into it for you.
Okay, because that's all swampland in there. So that's why I'm trying to figure out how they're even going to get a board in there and trucks and how far in from Bryn Mawr Ave are they going?
So
Because
I think you've been here the entire presentation, ma'am. So the whole idea, I believe, is that they're going to actually put in construction mats that will enable them to bring their equipment onto the site without sinking into the swamp or causing any damage to that wetland area. They'll do their work. Once the work is done, those mats will be removed.
Okay, well, I understand that, but I just want to make sure that they're not coming in on my property.
Understood, ma'am. I think you've made that very clear.
Okay.
Okay?
And I can communicate directly with them as well and let them know that you've had issues in the past that you would absolutely like them to not go onto your property.
Exactly. I've had a lot of issues with National Grid, so.
I will do my best to communicate that to them then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from anyone who is joining us online?
Yes. Hello.
Okay.
I've had my hand up. I didn't know how it was going to work.
We're going to go with Ms. Scott first because I think she raised her hand first. So just like, second grade. Ms. Scott,
you.
can you tell me where you live, please?
Well, I live in Kentucky.
You live in
My
Kentucky?
family,
Well, thank you for joining us, ma'am. What's your issue?
you're welcome. My family has about 3 properties on Leicester Street. They've been there for over, 100 years? 150 years. So we have, I believe, our property, we have 2 lots that run along the, I think it's B59 that she was showing before where the boulders are. We're lot 3927 and B59? Yeah, our lots are 3927 and 3923. The electrical access road actually my dad actually sold a sliver of the property to the electrical company. So I know it runs alongside one whole side of our property and the tip of the other one. Can you see, because I can't see the lot lines on these maps. I'm looking at my assessor's maps.
Right. Are those, and those are vacant lots, is that correct?
Yes, they are vacant. Elsie, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, they're vacant lots. I don't know. What is your name? Can you see where 3927 is and 3923? Is that in that square, B59?
3983.
We're looking for it
Yeah,
right now.
I think it's over by B65.
Oh, is it B65?
Closer to B65, yeah.
Oh, okay, so I thought it was,
So I Googled, the first address you mentioned, and it was off of this section of Leicester Street. So I imagine it goes back.
yeah,
North?
the access road, or the access for the electrical company runs parallel right with with the lines, with our property. I don't know.
So,
This is all
Ms. Gage, you're
confusing.
concerned about encroachment by National Grid when they do the work?
No, we had a question, well, at first I thought it was B59, and those looked like newer lines. They didn't look like they were 100 years old. That they're gonna put some of the statements in all the paperwork said some roads will be temporary, some will be permanent. Do you know where you're gonna be putting the permanent roads in?
Yeah, so this would be near B59 and B65. Those are the permanent areas. They're going to be taking some of those boulders out, maybe adding a little bit of gravel, just making it more more flat, so
Right.
they can actually get in there.
Accessible.
Yes.
So it's going along the same lines that are already there, already the electrical powers, properties.
Yes. Underneath the power lines, it's staying within the right of way.
Okay, so I did note, like you said, some of the lines are 100 years old, but in B59, they showed new lines. Does this have anything to do with any new development that's going to be going on in the area?
No, this only has to do with future upgrades to these structures specifically on this right of way. They're going to be replaced in the future, a couple years from now. I don't know exactly what time or when they're planning on updating these structures, but to replace, like here, they're going to replace structure 59 probably, and they need to know what's going on underneath the soil to figure out what kind of foundation they can
Right. But if you go back to 59, there's brand new huge electrical poles there next to older wooden ones. No,
This is Anderson Way.
it was 30.
I'm gonna go back.
Page 39.
Yeah, some structures are larger than others, especially I think you can see right here, B57. So there might have been updates to some of these structures as the years have gone on. But overall, they want to go in and just update the whole line.
And the access, I can see that. And on 65, what did they do? They're putting the permanent roads or gravel roads, correct?
Yeah, 65 is also within this right of way under the power lines. They're going to improve this stretch that goes from
So
the
they're not
street.
encroaching on anybody's personal property on either side?
Nope.
At all, just notifying all the properties that are next to these?
Because you abut the right of way, that's why you received notice. Exactly.
Right, yeah, because I know our property, maybe that other woman's property, I can see it was quite a ways. Our property actually runs alongside, it's like a triangle, and our property runs right alongside.
Right.
And at
So
the
you will
tip.
also get notified when they go in and want to do this upgrade to the lines themselves, when they actually want to replace the structures. You'll get another notification. in the mail ahead of that, because we'll have to have another meeting.
That we did love a new road into our property. That'd be great if you want to clear it all the way.
You're not the first person I've heard ask that.
Yeah, we got landlocked when my dad sold that property. I don't know why he did that.
Because he didn't
So
talk
you
to
can
you,
just-
that's why.
I'm sorry?
Because he didn't talk to you.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Ms. Scott, do you have any
Yeah.
other questions?
Joanne? My sister's on here too.
I see
Joe?
her. She is not, I like the backdrop there, and this is Joe Scott. Ms. Scott, do you have anything to add?
No, they gave me this option for the backdrop, so I chose it. No, I think my sister covered it.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
both.
I'm in Ohio.
You're in Ohio, okay. That doesn't look like Ohio to me, but what do I know? Mr. Irwin, you're next, sir.
Yes.
Where do you live, sir?
It's Rich Earl. I have a 384 Oxford Street. I'm right along the power line there.
Okay.
And my question is, and I'm sorry I missed the first 5 minutes of the meeting, is New England Power subcontracting this work, or are they doing it themselves?
They will be, oh, that's a good question, because they do have internal crews that do the overhead work, and sometimes they have internal crews that do the matting. They have not put that work out to bid yet,
Well,
so
If I just might comment, I mean, I've been living almost 45 years right against the power lines here. And while New England Power was doing all the work with the forestry work and stuff, I never had any problems with them at all. They did a great job. They cleaned the stuff out. They were very polite. But once they started subcontracting the work, then we kind of lost a little of that personal work, and they just they didn't seem to know the rules of exactly what it was, the right of way, and stuff. So I'm wondering if New England Power is really going to be on top of this when they do this work.
So I know that we have gotten into the habit now of providing environmental trainings for not only National Grid, but for the subcontractors as well. So whoever, if they do end up subcontracting the work out, we will have a discussion with them at the very beginning and be kind of checking in to make sure that at least in the areas where wetlands are and where the rivers are, so the jurisdictional resource areas, we give them a training and we talk to them and we make sure that they understand the conditions of the order of conditions, any other environmental related things that they have to be aware of. We talk to them beforehand and make sure that they understand that.
Okay.
So I can't speak to that outside of the jurisdictional areas,
Right.
but
I just want to make sure, because I mean, they made a lot of promises, the subcontractors, that they never came through with. So I just want to be sure that the town and the New England Power is going to be on top of this when they do the work.
And Mr. Irwin, if there are any violations, if violations are reported to our board, we don't hesitate to issue enforcement orders to get those violations corrected. So I think that's a fail-safe for you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
Okay, anyone else online that would like to speak? Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to comment? All right, in that case, and there are no other comments from the board, in that case, is there a motion to close?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. All right. Ms. Gorst, thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you for going on Google Maps and providing more information for members of the audience. And we will hopefully issue our decision tonight.
thank you very much, and thanks for hosting this virtually so that I can do this and save myself a little bit of driving.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And see, they all leave. In any event, we have a couple of other matters on our agenda for this evening. As I think you're aware, we have issued an enforcement order for 50 and 190 Washington Street. Mr. Brown actually appeared at our last meeting. Megan and I had the opportunity to go to the site on Sunday, just to confirm that the issues that were raised by the Department of Public Works have been addressed by the owner. And in fact, they were addressed. And I think you'll see Mr. Averka handed out pictures showing the measures that were introduced by the applicant or the owner to remediate the problems with erosion and siltation that were previously found. So I think based on, and again, we confirmed that the work had been done. The site appears to be in generally pretty good condition. It's our understanding that that lot, which actually abuts Route 20, has been sold, and that we will see an application. I'm assuming a notice of intent, but I'm not sure what they will be submitting, but that we will see a filing for that front lot sometime in the near future. And then for 47 Rockland Road, we had gotten, was that a complaint, or how did we get notice of 47 Rockland Road?
No, so I'd been over there prior, and Gary, the building commissioner, has been over there a lot because they've been trying to get a business occupancy so that they can start operating out of there eventually.
Okay.
And in him going over there, he noticed that they had been, they'd moved some material around and put in a retaining wall. So then I got out there, and Kettle Brook is directly across the street, well within even 100 feet, never mind the 200 that you get from that.
Right.
So then, I sent you the pictures. I think you guys all got those as well, and yeah, I was happy earlier today. I spoke to Michael Marinas, and he's an engineer that they've retained. He's putting together an NOI and including all of the, siltation controls that they'll be putting in.
Okay.
They have put in a sediment fence over here since, and it's installed properly. There aren't any straw wattles, so I mean, I think they've, made a step in the right direction, but they still have plenty more that they have to do.
Okay.
But I should be getting that NOI, he said hopefully tomorrow, and if it's all right with the board, the deadline for the next hearing was today, but assuming that they're able to get a butter notices out and I can still get the advertisement out in time, I'd be willing to put that on the next agenda.
Okay.
So that we can, just see what they're planning and hopefully, get this moving in the right direction a little bit quicker rather than waiting an additional 2 weeks.
All right, well, let's see what they can do. If they can meet the deadline, then we'll schedule it for April 10th. Otherwise, we'll do it for the 24th. I think I issued that enforcement order under my authority.
Yeah, that would need to be ratified.
So,
tonight.
is there a motion to confirm the enforcement order that I issued last week for 47 Rockland Road?
Move to ratify the enforcement order
Okay.
for 47 Rockland Road.
Is there a second? All right, thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. And Megan, based on what you saw at 190 Washington Street, do you think we can dissolve the enforcement order we issued for them? Okay. Do you want to make a motion?
I make a motion, we dissolve the enforcement order for 190 Washington.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. So who wants to have the privilege of working on these orders for 400 South Bridge Street? Don't point to him. And also for the transmission line borings. Let's do one at a time. Michelle.
Tom.
I'll do the first one, you can do the second one,
Tom
how's
has
that?
the stuff.
Okay.
Tom has the letters.
I love this part of the meeting. I have no responsibility at all.
Yeah,
And I've got to write it down.
Have you noticed how people are willing to just take on that challenge? But that's all right. It's fine. It's all right.
Okay, for 400 South Street, I make a motion that we issue a standard order plus the following special conditions.
Okay.
One, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 13.
Okay, so standard order plus the following: 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 13. Is there a second?
I don't have the thing in front of me, but it's one of those snow removal.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay.
I second.
Okay, is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed, it's a vote. And then for the transmission lines.
Oh, thanks.
I can certainly, I can print those out and give everyone one.
I have, I just keep losing them.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the
cool.
story she's been saying.
I've been
anyway.
running that for 5 years at least.
That's right.
so.
I was gonna let you get away with that.
Do you want to take a crack at it?
Just every meeting.
No.
I don't know.
He's working on it right now, I can
Yeah.
see him. Go ahead, John.
Well,
Go ahead, Mike.
fine.
All right. For New England Power Company, transmission line right away, I make a motion, we issue standard order plus the following special. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. They'll be done before the winter, so we don't need to worry about that.
Okay. And I think that's it, right?
Yeah, and that's it.
Okay, so there's a motion issue, standard order plus special conditions 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. Is there a second?
Just one question. I mean, would 11 apply just because, I don't know if they're having to remove, like, they're having to cut stuff while they're,
I mean, we can certainly put that in there as a preventative.
okay.
Okay, so, and that's, so basically Megan is amending Tom's order by adding condition 11. So now, there's a motion to, for a standard order of conditions plus the following special conditions, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 11. Is there a second?
Oh, I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, it's a vote. Now, I'm advised that we don't have meeting minutes for the last meeting. I know you're all disappointed. We will get those next week, or next meeting, rather. And is there any new business? Now, I'm advised that, that this young lady next to Michelle may be interested in joining our board. Is that fair? So having attended this meeting tonight, do you want to take on this burden?
I mean, not right this second, but in the future, yeah.
You have to file an application and there's an interview, but would you be interested? Sure. Fantastic. All right.
Usually there's less of others.
I was just gonna say, tonight was.
this was
typical.
Yeah.
This was
a little bit of a
I
rough.
figured it was gonna, I got a lot of calls about, I think, that application, and people they get thrown off when they get abutter notices and they're not sure exactly why. You know, their property's all the way over there and that's almost like more cause for concern for them.
Sure, exactly.
And it's reasonable, it's good to have people asking questions.
Oh, yeah,
So,
absolutely. I agree with you. So, okay. If there's no new business, then is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's a vote. All right, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, of course.
This conference is no longer being recorded.